Good morning. It is now time to call to order the fiscal town meeting for the town of Tiverton 2011. Do we have a quorum? Gee, I think we may have, huh? The emergency exits are lit. 2 in the rear and 2 over here on either side of me. At this time, we will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, the town clerk, Nancy Mello.
Are you okay with this monitor? You'll be able to see when they get up to the... Okay. Thanks. Yay, Nancy. Thanks. Okay. We're ready to roll here. Mr. Smith has already informed you of the exits, and I just want to remind everyone that there are restrooms. You go across the lobby where the cafeteria was, where you registered in, and they are to the right. I will not be reading the warrant because it has been duly posted around town. I've also posted it in 2 places here in the meeting hall. But, and everything has been noticed. At this point, the only other thing that I want to mention is that when our tellers, if it is called for a count by our tellers, you must raise your hand with the band on. They will be counting the arms with the orange band on. And please be patient with them. There's a lot of people in this room, and we have some in the auditorium. They should be pointing to you with the clicker, and you should be lowering your hand at that time. Okay, and I believe that's all I have. I will reintroduce the moderator. Do I have a count in the room? Yep. Someone's going to relay the count to me? And because we are using 2 rooms, we're going to have to use a little more patience here because I've got to get counts from the auditorium as well. And that includes when we're voting. That's 911 electors in this room beyond those that are non-voters. We're going to get a better system to be getting the auditorium. It's just going to take a few minutes.
It's a heck of a number, 911.
Oh my goodness, it is. And I just want to let you know that, should we go to a ballot vote? We are prepared. We will use this form. We will set them out first, this part, and around, so that no one is bottling up, coming in and coming out at the same time, okay? We'll begin with that row. And we might want to, while we're waiting for that count, I'm just going to make this announcement. I'm not advocating it one way or another. I'm just letting you know that should a vote go to ballot, request a ballot, The Board of Canvass is prepared with voting machines there. It will take some time to get the process through, but we will file out and file in. It is a little ballot that says yes or no. It is prepared by the Board of Elections. There are privacy sleeves. You must connect the arrows, and you put it in just as you were voting on an election day. And that way, the tally will be instantaneous after the last voter. 115? So we have 1,026. Okay, Mr. Smith.
Any question of quorum? I don't think so. All tellers have been sworn. At this point, we'll move on to resolutions. The moderator's resolutions are as follows. Resolved that town administrator and any department head, school superintendent, and director of library services may participate in these meetings may participate in these proceedings, but may not vote if the person is not a registered elector of the town of Tiverton. That includes all special officers and other department heads. Resolved, in order to conduct an orderly flow of business, the moderator will recognize the chairman of the budget committee. Oh, I'm sorry. May I have a second? It's been motioned already. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Be it resolved, in order to conduct an orderly flow of business, the moderator will recognize the chairman of the budget committee or his or her designee to place the budget committee's recommendations before the electors. After such time, the moderator shall recognize an amendment from the department or committee, if any, and no more than 3 amendments from the floor at any one time for that particular thing, or 4 if you count all the department heads. Recognize amendment from department committee, if any, and no more than 3 amendments from the floor for a total of 4. All motions must be seconded. Discussion shall be allowed in the reverse order in which the amendments were presented and by any maker of an amendment prior to any votes taken. In making said motion or amendment, the elector shall proceed to the nearest microphone, state his or her name and address, state the motion or amendment, which must contain a specific dollar amount if voting on a financial matter, to include the budget committee's recommended amount, the dollar amount, and a total after the dollar amount.
So moved. Second.
I have a point of order. Can I say now? This is my first financial town meeting, so I'm not sure what the rules are. Can I make a point of order now? Okay. I have a point of order. My name is Nina Mills, and I live in Nanaquacket Road in Tiverton. I have a point of order for procedure today. Page 30 of Robert's Rules of Order, the newly revised, states that in cases where the chair knows that persons seeking the floor have opposite opinions on the question, the chair should let the floor alternate as far as possible between those favoring and those opposing the measure. Is that all I have to do?
And what's the question there?
Are you going to do that as part of the procedures for today?
That's automatic. We go by Robert's Rules of Order?
That's in Robert's Rules, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
The resolve's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Be it resolved, no motion that alters, amends, rescinds, or reconsiders any previous action shall be entertained by the moderator unless there as many electors present as there were at the time of the original vote was taken. Further, the person making said motion shall have voted on the prevailing side and shall so swear or affirm such action to be true. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Be resolved that no motion to approve the remainder of the budget as recommended or requested or amended shall I'm sorry. Resolved, the annual town meeting shall be deemed to have received the written reports of the town offices and committees by this motion. May I have a motion to accept this? So moved. And a second? Motion carries if everybody approves. All approve? Aye. Motion carries. After passing an amendment to vote to pass the main motion will be taken without further discussion, allowing the voted amendment to become final for that particular motion and become part thereof. May I have a motion to...
A point of order?
I'd like to make a comment on that motion.
On which motion, sir?
Number 5. I attempted to rewrite this item to remove its confusion and ambiguity because, as written, it would force the FTM to a halt if it was passed and followed. However, I was forced to the conclusion that it is not worth correcting because, first, it requires a vote on the main motion after passing an amendment when most and possibly all amendments at the FTM override and negate the main motion such that a follow-up main motion would be unnecessary and contradictory. If there's a main motion to approve $500,000 and the amendment is to approve $510,000, there is no need for a vote on the main motion if the amendment is approved, and any such vote would be contradictory. Second, it requires a vote taken, quote, without further discussion, unquote, thereby making it impossible for any discussion to indicate that a vote on the main motion is unnecessary and contradictory and violating the basic democratic principle of a democratic FTM meeting. Third, with the first two reasons, it is not worth looking for any additional reasons to reject Rule 5. I therefore request that Rule 5 be rejected as out of order.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
First off, I'm not sure if you got a second on that motion. Did you? Second. Just for procedural purposes.
It was seconded.
Okay. I would disagree with Mr. Bennison in some respects, but I think the motion to follow Robert's rules, because this is actually what is found in Robert's rules, that when you vote on an amendment, technically you're simply adding that to the main motion.
Right.
So you do have to follow that. I would just suggest, I would move to amend this if we're going to follow through with it, that after the word main motion in the first sentence, first line, we add the word as amended, because that's really what you're voting on. The motion as amended, not the original
Well,
motion.
that would, when in announcing for the vote, it would be announced that it would be just that. You'd be including the amendment.
But as written, this violates Robert's rules.
Yes, I understand.
So I make a motion that we add the words as amended after main motion.
And it has been seconded. All in favor of that amendment? Aye. All opposed? One opposed.
Point of order.
Yes.
Nina Morris, Nanaquacket Road, page 43 of Robert's Rules, let me get it out to read it, states that where there is any possibility of confusion, we need to make sure the members of the congregation understand what they're voting for. Page 43. So the question is, are we going to ensure that as part of these proceedings, where there's any possibility of confusion, the chair, before calling for the vote, will make sure that the members understand the effect of an aye vote or a no vote. So in putting the question, the chair should stand and project your voice, and that's what you're doing, I guess. But are we going to actually have the proceedings such that we make sure there's no confusion?
It will be sure that there is no confusion.
Great.
The idea is the vote, it will be stated as to what they are voting for, yes or no. It will be complete, including any amendments.
And the effect of the aye and the no vote as well.
Pardon?
Not just what we're voting for, aye and no, but this says the effect of the aye and the no vote, so we understand what the impact is.
Yes, we should have that, yes, of course.
Thank you.
Point of order, if I may. Dana Alcock, Leonard Drive.
Please wait
Certainly.
until you're recognized by the moderator.
Wait till the council meeting to add to them. I don't know how you're going to do that. Yes, it's all these voice votes. They're saying their voice isn't good, and there are 100 and some. It might change it. So how do you want to work that? I'll give them my cell phone. Let's put those on. Okay? It'll take another vote or two for you to get it settled, but that's what I don't know what it's
We don't have walkie-talkies? Yes, may I help you, sir? What's up?
Yes, thank you. It's already been stipulated that the meeting will follow the Roberts Rules of Order. I don't think we need to go through every point, so I would request that we do not have to address every issue. Thank you.
As part of Robert's Rules of Order, we do have to address every issue. Okay, now we're back on to resolve number 4. 6, I'm sorry. Some say 5, some say 6. In any case, we'll go with resolve for 5.
Point of order.
For 6, rather.
Point of order.
Yes, we haven't voted.
I believe we still need to vote on 6 or on 5
5.
as amended.
Yes. We didn't vote on it.
We voted on the amendment, but not on the motion as amended, or the resolve as amended.
The amendment was order. Okay, resolve 5 was not voted on. We are now going to vote on it with the amendment. By passing an amendment, a vote to pass the main motion as amended will be taken without further discussion, allowing the voted amendment to become final for that particular motion. I'm sorry, that's misstated. After passing the amendment, a vote to pass the main motion will be taken without further discussion, allowing the voted amendment to become final for the particular motion as amended and become part thereof. May I have a motion to carry this forward?
My circuit had an amendment passed, so we're voting on, after passing an amendment, a vote to pass the main motion as amended will be taken without further discussion. We took a vote to accept the motion with the amendment. It passed. We should be moving on to resolve 6.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bowden.
I concur with Mr. Bowen.
Resolve 6, no motion to approve the remainder of the budget as recommended or requested or amended shall be approved unless said motion is adopted by a majority of the assembly.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. I believe you just violated that motion number 5 by not taking a vote with the reworded motion.
Excuse me, sir, but we did take the vote.
Second.
May I have, resolve 6 has been moved and seconded. May I have a voice vote?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, sir.
Mike Burke, 67 Durfee Road. I'm just not sure of the intent of this. Is the intent of this simply to say that we follow what is normal procedure, that any vote, unless it's a vote that requires a higher majority, needs to pass by by a majority?
By majority, yes.
So I'm not sure why we need this.
We really don't need it, but it's a point that it can be construed that we don't operate by Robert's rules or by the rules of order. So,
I would suggest that since we follow Robert's rules, just to vote this down.
do I have a second on this?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
Deb Polish, Lake Road. While I don't, it's so confusing. I don't see the harm in putting forth a motion that says if you're going to move the remainder of the docket, that the majority must approve it. I agree with Mr. Burke, but I mean, I don't see the harm in just making sure that we all understand that you can move the entire docket with a majority vote.
Yes. Okay. All those in favor of not including or including this resolve. All in favor of adopting resolve number 6?
Mr. Moderator, the resolve that's before us, number 6, if voted down, would take the same effect as what the speaker was talking about. So if people don't feel that this is an appropriate resolve, then they should vote not to approve the resolve, which means it does not exist. It does not take an amendment or a modification to this. You just say no to it, and it doesn't exist on a resolve. It's not part of the procedure. It's as simple as that. And that's what I think, that's the understanding you want to get out here. If you vote yes on number 6, then the resolve as printed will be included in the procedure for today. If you vote no, then that is not included. It's that simple. Let's try to keep this simple and not complicate the matter. So I think the vote on that issue will resolve whether or not we follow that resolve. Thank you.
Very well put. Yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, Mike Carrero, 152 Brackett Avenue, Tiverton, Rhode Island, Tiverton High School class of 1972. I'd like to make a motion. The motion reads as follows. In the event the moderator chooses to step down from his position, that this body elect Mr. Michael. Please. That if the moderator chooses to step...
There is a motion on the floor, and it has not to do with that. The motion on the floor is...
We can only have one motion on the floor at a time?
Yes. The motion on the floor is to vote on resolve number 6. All in favor of resolve number 6? Aye. All not in favor of it?
No.
The ayes have it.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion, and in the sense of moving this meeting forward, the motion reads, if the present moderator elected at the 09 financial town meeting chooses to step down, that this body elect the person who came in number 2 in that election, Mr. Michael Burke. And I make that in the form of a motion.
Point of order.
That motion is out of order for these proceedings at this point. We are still in resolves. We are now moving on to the town council resolves. Yes, sir.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, fine.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to appeal the chair's position on that last issue to a vote. Sorry, I'm Nick Changus, 1106 Main Road.
And sir, you are asking for an appeal on which one, please?
I'm challenging the decision of the chair, that of the moderator, that Mr. Carrera's motion is out of order.
It is out of order. Just a moment, please. Ah. Yes.
He wasn't allowed to talk to him. This is tight, this coach.
Okay. Now that the waiver's made the room, your appeal, sir, is open for discussion. Anybody else wanted to?
You ruled the motion out of order.
I would just move the question, Mr. Moderator.
Okay.
Can we just clarify, Deb Polish Lake Road, can we just clarify what the question is, what we're appealing, and what a yes does and what a no does?
Well, I'll leave that up to the chair.
The question is whether I erred in ruling the motion to have me, if I decided to step down, to have Mr. Burke from last year step in. I ruled it as out of order. He has been appealed. This is now open for discussion from the floor. And the question is, should the moderator decision be upheld? So an aye vote says that the motion is out of order.
To clarify, if you vote yes, you are voting to overturn the decision that the motion was out of order. If you vote no, you are voting that it's the opposite way. So is the motion to sustain the motion? Okay. Well, basically, my appeal, the solicitor may differ, but there's a motion on the floor to overturn the decision of the moderator. I think a yes vote overturns that decision. A no vote confirms his decision. And I think that's the simplest way, and if we agree that that's the way it is, that's what we're voting on. And some of the speakers this morning suggested that we make this thing very clear what we were doing on every vote. I think that's the clearest way to make this.
Point of order again, please. I'd like to, I'm Louise Durfee, Highland Road, Tiverton. I'd like to ask the town solicitor a question in the spirit of seeking clarity of what we're voting on. Is it not correct to say by the moderator, shall the ruling, my ruling, be upheld? If it is upheld, Mr. Carrero's motion fails. Now, I think, do I have to say that again? But I'd like to hear from the solicitor on this.
For those of you who have Robert's Rules of Order, for those of you who have Robert's Rules of Order at page 251, under Rule 24 Appeals, it states that it should be formed in the affirmative. The question is, shall the decision of the chair be sustained? So as Ms. Durfee was saying, and as I initially said, although common sense might say, oh, it's an appeal, it should be yes or no, but just going forward, if there's any appeal, it's always on an appeal of the moderator. The vote and the question is always, shall the appeal be sustained? Shall the decision, rather, be sustained? So if you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the moderator's decision. If you vote no, you're voting against the moderator's decision. Okay?
Now we just get back to it.
All in favor?
All in favor of...
Mr. Moderator? Mr.
Yes.
Moderator, could we have a hand vote, please?
Sure.
Just a point of information, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
So a no vote supports Mr. Carrera's contention. A yes vote does not.
Yes. Okay. Counters.
Point of information, just for clarity, a no vote here will lead to a vote on Mr. Carrera's motion. It does not pass it.
Right. Those- Shall the decision of the moderator be sustained? All in favor? All opposed? I don't think we need a hand vote, huh? Okay, motion fails. I'm sorry, it may not fail. Hold on. Still have to hear from the auditorium.
Mr. Moderator, I believe that now calls for a vote on the motion.
We're waiting to hear from the auditorium.
Mr. Moderator, a point of order, please. Brian Medeiros, 127 Grinnell Avenue. Because we do have people in the auditorium, I would just ask that voice votes, I don't know how you're going to possibly do that with two different rooms. Just going forward, I would think all votes are going to have to be hand votes because there's no way that they can participate in the auditorium.
We have now set up a communication link from the auditorium to here.
Right, but I mean, we still have been doing
Titus.
voice votes.
Through Mr. Titus, we have set up a communication link with the...
So going forward,
and
they
it
will be hand votes so that they can participate equally?
It is decided in the auditorium by vote as to whether it carries or fails. Whether the motion is yes or no.
No, but they have to be able to participate.
There is...
There were people in there waving who can't participate.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
To clarify, Christopher Carter, 52 House Drive, Tiverton.
Yes.
To clarify what Mr. Medeiros has just said, there are two venues here. To do a voice vote here is completely unfair to every member sitting in that auditorium. So it requires a hand vote to tabulate their votes as well. And I put that in a form of a motion that all votes from here on are tabulated by hand count.
I'll second.
Hold on.
If I may have a point of information. We're using cell phones rather than walkie-talkies to communicate with the auditorium. Taking a voice vote in the auditorium where you're taking a voice vote here. There's a lot less people in the auditorium. If it's at all close, there will be a division with hands first, then followed, if with a proper motion, with the counting. but where there's an overwhelming voice vote in both places, that's the same. And that's what I've been told. There was a voice vote clearly of the nays in the auditorium, as well as the nays here in the gymnasium. There really isn't a need to do a count as well.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. My name is Larry Miranda, Hopstead Avenue in Tiverton. There's a motion on the floor that's been seconded. I asked to move the question whether or not everything goes forward as a hand vote. That's already been motion and seconded.
We haven't at the end of the last vote. First of all, you need to the decision was not sustained.
Mr. Moderator, I believe we have, prior to that, Mr. Moderator, prior to that motion, there's a motion that's open on the floor that needs to be voted on because we have not gone through. We overturned the moderator's decision to make that vote out of order, so we needed to vote on the main motion. Then we could entertain the motion to take all our rest of our votes by a hand count. I still think we need to get through the open motion first.
Tell them that he's basically told them there isn't a motion. There's not a motion. Okay.
Mr. Moderator, my name is Bob Gall, Lepus Road. Can I make a motion that we cut this out and vote what we're here to vote on? Because I think we're here for the budget, not the personal vendettas to vote people out of things.
Yes, sir, you're right.
Thank you.
There is already a motion on the floor. Now, it was sustained. I'm sorry, my decision was overturned that Mr. Carrera was not out of order. Or was out of order, rather. Will you please, Mr. Carrera, restate your motion?
Mr. Moderator, if you engaged me to work on your roof, and I got to the roof, and I got up on the roof, and I found out I was afraid of heights, I'd leave.
Please, sir, stick to the motion.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that the event you step down, which would be, this was a vote of no confidence in the moderator, that Mr. Michael Burke, who served as moderator at the last meeting, the number 2 vote getter at the last meeting for the moderator for the 010 meeting, this body vote to put them in place, him in place.
A motion has been made. Point of information. Yes, Mr. Titus.
I'd just like to make a point of information. I understand the appeal has been, the decision of the moderator has been overruled, that this was out of order. I just want to state as far as the discussion on this as why I consider it to be out of order. The town charter provides a mechanism for replacement of the moderator, and that is by the town council, not by this body or the second vote getter. That's why I thought it was out of order. It's been appealed and overturned, you can vote, but I wanted you to know why.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Nick Chungus, 1106 Main Road. I would just point out, regardless of the town council's responsibility in that case, as I heard Mr. Carrero's motion, it was based on the voluntary resignation of the moderator.
And I have no intention to resign.
But I also recognize that I don't see where that precludes the vote.
I'd like to amend the motion, Justin Katz, Arbitraris. I would amend the motion to insert the words pending an affirmative vote of a majority of the body. In other words, if you do choose to step down, we will vote on whether to go with Mr. Burke as the moderator. The circumstances that we're stepping down may affect the decision of who becomes the moderator.
Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Now, discussion on the amendment. Are there any?
Mr. Moderator, I move the question.
Now,
Point of order.
the amendment is the question. The amendment, please restate the amendment, sir. It's getting very confusing.
The amendment is that to amend Mr. Carrero's motion to suggest that if you step down, we will then vote on whether to go with with Mr. Burke as the moderator.
As stated. All in favor of the amendment? All opposed? Now we will wait for the auditorium. Well, that's a motion. It's not an amendment, it's a motion. Who again? Repeat that, please. Thank you very much. The nays have it. The amendment is defeated. Now we're back to the main motion. Any further debate on the main motion? Which, if Mr. Carrero will basically would like me to step down. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor of Mr. Carrera's motion that provided the moderator step down from these proceedings, or as moderator, that the second runner-up, Mr. Burke, be placed as moderator.
Point of information.
Yes.
Sanford Mantell, Budway. Can you clearly indicate what the ayes and the nays will indicate? I think that's not clear. What does aye mean and what does nay mean? What are we voting on?
The aye is yes. You agree? Mr. Carrera, are you present? Please restate your motion. And only your motion, please.
The motion is, when you step down, that Mike Burke takes over as moderator. That's the motion.
Would you like to change that motion?
The motion was, in the event the present moderator steps down voluntarily, pressure, that Mr. Mike Burke, the number 2 voter at the election for said position, takes over.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye means that you support the motion. May I have a vote, please? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. All opposed? And now we wait for the auditorium. I'm going to get a voice from the auditorium.
Mr. Moderator, I have a point of information. My name is Cynthia Allen, 46 Peaceful Way, Tiverton, Rhode Island. I would like to ask you to please ask the town solicitor if this vote is not in fact a violation of the town charter, which he previously said states that in event the town moderator should resign. The town charter, which we voted on as a body, designates the town council to appoint a moderator. My question again is a vote on this motion in effect a violation of the town charter? Can we then move ahead with the most important questions in front of the taxpayers today, which is the financial town meeting?
I would let the motion go forward. Yes? And really, it's a dead, it's a stupid motion. It has no teeth in it. But. Okay, your statement was out of order. It has already been voted on. At this point, it is close. So again, by a show of hands, for yea.
Mr. Moderator, point of order.
Yes, sir.
Since the question, Ed Roderick, 19 Sparrow Drive. Since the question is whether or not you will voluntarily step down, and you have indicated that you will not, then the question is moot, and we should move on.
Point of order. Point of order, Mr. Moderator.
Actually, the appeal overturned the decision, which then we had to vote on it. Okay? So now, with a close vote, I am asking for a raise of hands. All in favor of the motion as stated, which if I have to have it stated again, I'm sorry, we will. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. The hand with the band on it. All nays, please raise your hand. Still looks kind of close to me. Okay, you can put your hands down. I'm waiting for the auditorium.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make a point of order here.
Not at this time, please.
I'm just making a statement. Before you move to the next vote, you got to count.
Out of order.
You didn't count the votes. They're going to report the votes up to the chair first. Then you take the negative votes.
We're not counting. We are going by a majority of wristbands there that we see.
Point of order?
Yes, sir. Well,
David-
at this point, we're still waiting for the results from the auditorium.
It's up to you. They're telling me it's too close to call. So, which is why I don't care about the charter.
Right.
It only applies when it is
Right.
something happens.
When and if I need.
Unless they shoot. Let's say motion is voluntarily.
Are we now ready for more bad news? Can I have all tellers, please?
Point of order, David Nelson, Peaceful Way. I'm looking at Robert's rules here, and there's a subsidiary motion that we can, if an embarrassing main motion can be brought before the assembly, a member can propose to get rid of that question without bringing it to a direct vote by proposing to postpone indefinitely. The question, can we postpone indefinitely the question for the motion if the moderator decides to resign?
We're in the middle of a motion.
We're actually
We cannot
having
entertain
another
a
motion.
to postpone in the middle of voting.
Right.
It would have had to have been made before the voting commenced.
And at this point, I need the counters up front, please. We have to go with a hand vote, with the counters. I know. Right, I heard. Where's our counters? All counters, please come forward. Is this any better? A little better anyway, right? I had to move the volume up on the other end. So I think we're okay now. Can you folks hear me over here on the bleachers? Well, they can't. They stop talking. I'm not happy. We are now going to take a hand vote on this motion. Now, the motion is that if the moderator voluntarily resigns, that Mr. Burke be appointed as moderator at this proceeding. All in favor? Out of order, sir. Please control yourself. All in favor of that motion, please raise your hands and keep them up, the hand with the band on it. Please keep your hands up until you have been counted. The counter will point to you when they have counted you. If you have voted, or if you haven't voted, please take a seat. Everyone, please sit down, except for the counters.
Excuse me. No. It has to do with the counting. You told the people not to count the people who are standing. Those policemen and firemen are citizens of this town. You need to count them too.
They need to count everyone with a handband. The officials in the corner, in the back there that are standing up need to be counted. But in all honesty, the officials that are standing in the back should be sitting down, just like everyone else, because it is a fire hazard. All individuals, except for the police and fire department and the technicians for the sound system and video system, please sit down. It is a fire hazard to be standing at the back of the building or back of the room. Please sit down. Obey the rules that you helped create. At this point, we are closing the vote on the ayes.
Mr. Moderator, do we have a count of the room?
At this time, we do not. We do have quorum, I can tell you that. We're going with it. Now, all nays, please raise your hand with the band on it. To be counted, please, all nays, raise your hand with the band on it. In the auditorium, nays only, please. The public officials standing at the rear of the room, please sit down.
Dick.
Question as to how many are here in this room and in the auditorium. There's a total of 994.
You're a democracy.
She's on it. Not a big deal with everybody voted. Done all I can. Total ayes, 706. Total nays, 264. Motion carries. Now we move on to the town council resolutions. Town council, please. Mr. Boland.
Point of order.
Yes.
Isn't it my understanding that we can only be here till 1 o'clock, so can we move on?
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Town council resolution resolved that pursuant to section 204 of the town charter, the town council is hereby resolved that pursuant to section 204 of the town charter, the town council is hereby authorized to transfer ownership of any of the following of Tiverton's municipally owned buildings: Nonquit School, Old Ranger School, Judson Street Community Center, Senior Center, Town Hall, and DPW facility, provided, however, that the Municipal Facilities Committees shall have completed its study of the current use and structure status of such buildings and submitted its recommendations to the town council, and further provided that any such transfer is either at not less than fair market value or at less than fair market value to a nonprofit or government entity acting for the public good, and provided that any such transfer be subject to such conditions as required by the town council. This approval shall expire as of the second Saturday in May 2011.
Any debate on that?
David Nelson, Peaceful
Yes.
Way, Tiverton. I'd like to make a motion to amend this on line 5.
Speak up.
On line 5, right after it says transfer is either at, to strike the words either at, and then on the next line after value, on line 6 after value, place a period and delete the rest of the resolution. Our feeling is that these buildings belong to the taxpayers and not the government, and we want the taxpayers to receive the benefit. We need the money, and we can't afford to give these buildings away.
Amendment has been made and seconded. Any debate on the amendment?
My name is Joe Souza, 49 Hancock Street.
I'd like to be recognized, please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Mr. Souza, please hold. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to make a further amendment, please.
Your name and address, please, sir.
Dana Alcock, Leonard Drive. I also would like to remove the language stated by, hold on one second. This is important. Let me just go forward with this. Let's put a period after the fair market value and delete the rest of the resolution, and also add all funds raised through such sale shall be applied to the principal of any outstanding school bonds. Thank you.
Okay. That amendment has been moved and seconded.
It's already here on the docket. If you look at the next resolution, it talks about where the proceeds would go.
Anything else, Mr. Souza?
Only I support this because I initially took part in the facilities meetings back when Louis Vitar was a superintendent. And it
Okay.
was stated then that the sales would go to pay off the bonded indebtedness, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, a weighted discussion point?
Pardon me?
A weighted discussion point?
Yes.
Christopher Carter, 52 Harris Drive. As it relates to the second amended version of this, where the proceeds would go to offset, the bonded indebtedness on the schools. I believe, and I would ask the town solicitor and probably the council president to weigh in on the structuring of those bonds as to whether or not the funds could actually be utilized to pay down that debt, seeing how the debt is secured by the Rhode Island Building, Housing, Educational Authority, that we don't have control of that debt instrument. And I think it would be inappropriate. I'm not saying that we shouldn't reserve the funds or to do something appropriate with the money, but I don't think technically that would be permissible by the bond indebtedness itself.
Point of information, was there a second for the second amendment?
Yes, there was.
Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to comment on the last question. I am Phil DiMattia, the town treasurer. I am Philip DiMattia, the town
Speak
treasurer.
into the microphone a little better.
And in regards to the fact of how that money is to be used, I have checked with bond counsel of Edwards, Angel, Palmer, and Dodge. I have sought a financial advisor, First Southwest Company, and the message to me is as follows. In general, the standard bond provision is a 10-year par call. For example, the town's 206 Ryback bonds are not callable until May 15th, 2016. In the event the town has excess funds due to the sale of an asset, the town could defease a portion of the Ryback 2006 bonds. This would require the town to set aside funds in an escrow account until the call date. The town could also apply the sale proceeds towards the annual debt service payments. So regardless of what we raise by selling the buildings, we can handle it and apply it to the bond debt.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I appreciate the treasurer's comments. I asked specifically for the town solicitor and the council president to weigh in.
What you just heard from the treasurer is that we could set the money aside, and it would not be till 2016 that that escrow could be applied to that because it's the call date. So we're putting money in an account that we can't touch and not going to spend it until 2016. It will not immediately reduce any indebtedness on the bonds. We could take the money and apply it to debt service for the next year.
Mr. Titus?
Yes, I concur with the town council president, and as explained in more depth by the treasurer. This isn't like your home mortgage where you can just tell them you're making an an extra principal payment and have it reduced. You are, in fact, required to pay the interest out to that first call date. So while you can set the money aside to pay it, you're still going to have to pay interest on it till the first call date. And there also will be additional expenses and fees with the early redemption. Kind of like if you actually try to pay your mortgage. Most mortgages have like the first year a penalty if you pay it off early. And that's what we've got out until 2016 in this case, and appropriate other dates with the other bonds.
Mr. Moderator, can I be heard on this point?
Yes.
Jeff Karen at the stage. Jeff Karen.
Yes, Jeff.
Chairman of the Budget Committee. I'd just like to share my view on this topic for this and for the next resolve. I've sat on the Budget Committee for 6 years, and if you look at the structure of how the tax cap works, the sale of a building will introduce, in general, revenue to the general fund, okay? Once the general fund exceeds the minimum that we're now under, then this money will be sitting there, and it could be used in a way such that such as to not go back to the taxpayer, but spent in next year's appropriation. In other words, there would be a revenue source there which would go onto the docket and not count toward the tax cap next year. So my opinion is, and I'm now stating an opinion, not the legal arguments or the mechanisms, but my opinion is that if these buildings are sold, that we will likely see that money evaporate and spent instead of going towards something concrete that we know we have to service. That's just a comment from my perspective, having sat in the committee for 6 years and watched money come in and out of the general fund. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
Justin Katz, Arbitraris. Because the two amendments on the floor are not mutually exclusive, will we be able to vote on each, even if the first one passes?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
No. I think that's right.
We voted on the last first.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
To comment on the comments of the Budget Committee Chair, if there was a sale of a building and the money went into the general fund, it would get us closer to having the 3% reserve that's called for by charter, which we are currently under. If there's an excess over the percentage which must be maintained, in the past, that has been used to offset taxes in the next year. So it isn't like it's going to be squandered. The town council hasn't taken any money from the general fund to apply to a budget in the 15 years that I have sat there. That does not happen. Don't be misled that that's what would happen if a building was sold. If the general fund exceeds what should be there by charter, which currently isn't, we find ourselves, when we do need to go out and bond and so forth, that we find ourselves in a position of possibly having to pay more for those instruments because of our financial situation. The reason that this resolution is on the docket in the form that it is because we are looking at the municipal structures to see which ones are going to serve the greater need of the town and which ones may be able to be disposed of. There is no plot, no concerted effort to come up with monies to be spent anywhere else. You people decide at this meeting what the total expenditure of the town will be for the next fiscal year. Any money generated through that sale would go to the general fund, first to replenish a depleted number which is under the current charter requirement. And second, if something was taken from there, you will get the entire benefit from it in terms of tax relief, as has happened in the past.
Mr. Moderator, may I answer to that?
Not at this point. Yes, ma'am.
Law Epke Neck Road. So what I understand on the last amendment from the responses at the table is that if we approve the amendment, any proceeds from any sale of any of the town buildings will go into an escrow account, a set-aside account, and be used to essentially restructure the bond on the first call date, which would be in about 6 years from now?
That's the second
It's
amendment.
the second amendment.
Yes.
That's
Point of
the-
order, Mr. Moderator. We're talking two different resolutions here.
We're talking the same resolution, we're just talking two amendments.
Sir, on page 1 and page 2, which they're talking about the dissolution of the money to be used as toward the pay down of debt is the second resolution.
But we have not gotten to that one
The
yet.
amendment referred to, if I got Mr. Nelson correct,
There are
was
two
that we don't
amendments
sell it for less than fair market value.
There are two amendments, sir, for this resolution on page 1.
And sir, they are both regarding fair market value. They are not regarding
No, sir.
the resolution of the money.
The second amendment clearly stipulated that it had to go to any outstanding school indebtedness.
Right.
Or school bonds. That's the second motion that's on the floor. Did cover the bonds.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Souza.
My name is Joe Souza, again, 49 Hancock Street. I'm speaking what's the last amendment where restricting the money. That was not my intent in going forward with further amendments. I did not want to. Mr. Bowen apparently has my opinion as well. I share his opinion that at the next FTM, if that building sold, that the FTM should decide, do we need a fire truck, do we need police cars? We might want to apply it in a different, but the money should come back to the financial town meeting. I did not want to see these buildings give away. So I would urge that we don't vote up the third amendment, that we vote it down and vote for the...
There's only two amendments.
I'm sorry, don't vote for the second amendment, but wait until we move on to the next amendment, resolution.
If I may. Dana Alcock, Leonard Drive. I withdraw my amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alcock.
Mr. Moderator.
This man in the center has...
Yeah, hi, Tom Parker, William Barton Drive. I think the amendments are the correct way to go. The way the current town council resolution is written and is stated in the docket would allow the town council to give the buildings away to a nonprofit, or they could sell them for as little as $1. That's why the fair market value is important. And although it sounds good, when we lose the building, we lose the tax revenue. So if it went to a nonprofit, it immediately goes to a tax-free status, and any tax revenue the town might get from that is lost. So my point is, I think we need to amend it. I understand one amendment is lost. In my opinion, we should go with the second amendment. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator. Bob Martin, Hilton Street.
Yes.
I'd like to move the motion. The clock is ticking here. We haven't even got into the financial matters yet.
Right.
And we're here 2 hours.
Okay. Motion's been made to move the question, and it has been seconded. Are there any objections? So now we are voting on the First Amendment. It's the only amendment. That's just, they add the period and... Okay, the first amendment is that we put in a period after FTM, the value FTM, and cross out either at on line 5. And we get rid of the rest of the, get rid of line 6 and 7 and 8. Now.
Point of order, please.
Yes.
Don't we have to vote on moving the question?
I don't.
No,
one moved the
there was no
question.
objection observed by the floor. It has been moved. It has been.
Well, no objections to me means nobody's going to get up here and talk about it, but you still have to have a vote. It's a quick vote, but I mean, don't you still have to have it?
It's not necessary if nobody objected to moving it.
Mr. Moderator, just point of order to concur with you that the moderator certainly has the ability to ask if there's any objections. If there are no objections on a procedural motion, you just move forward as opposed to taking the time to...
Sounds fine with me.
Now, we are voting on the amendment to this resolution. There's only one amendment to this resolution because the second amendment was withdrawn by the maker.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
May I ask the proposer of the amendment to at least include the approval shall expire on the second Saturday of May 2011? The whole purpose of this is that if something was to take place, we only need the authorization till the next financial town meeting. Right now, we didn't know, and the reason the resolution is here, that we would, if there was going to be a sale, we wouldn't have to wait till the next financial meeting. And I would ask that the person who proposed that amendment would include that in his amendment.
The individual that made the amendment, would you?
As I understand it, Mr. David Nelson, Peaceful Way.
Yes.
This is my amendment. The request from Mr. Boland is to reinstate that last sentence where it says, this approval shall expire the second Saturday in May. And I agree to that.
Because other than that, it's open-ended, and I don't think that was the intent of this.
With no further discussion, gentlemen, you both have agreed to agree.
Yes.
Okay. On the amendment to this resolution, line 5, put a period after FMV to strike out from that period to the point of town council, the end of town council, and to approve this approval shall expire on the second Saturday in May shall be included instead of stricken. Is this understood?
Mr. Moderator, point of information. I thought Mr. Nelson's original also struck out the word either and the words not less.
Yes, I did say that.
Either at?
At this point, I didn't, I'm sorry. Okay, strike out either at, strike out line 6, and part of line 7 to the point of this approval shall expire as the second Saturday in May 2011. Is this understood?
Point of information?
Yes, sir.
Just for the sake of clarity, can we again define what the ayes and the nays signify? Do the ayes signify we agree with the amendment, and do the nays say we disagree? I think we have to make that perfectly clear.
The ayes at this point will agree with what I have just stated, and that is striking either at, putting a period after FTM, striking the rest of that line, of that sentence, and leaving in this approval shall expire as of the second Saturday in May 2011. All in favor? Aye. We need to wait for the auditorium. All opposed? Motion carries for this amendment. Now, excuse me. Quiet, please. I spoke a little premature. We still don't have the vote from the auditorium. The auditorium, the ayes passed. Okay. Now, the amendment has passed. Now back to the main motion. All in favor of the resolution as stated? We did the amendment. Now we go to the main motion of the resolution as it is modified. We have no debate, but it still does need to be voted on. According to Robert's Rules of Order, even though an amendment has been made and approved, the main motion with that amendment needs to be approved. Okay, all in favor? All opposed? No. And now we wait for the auditorium, which I'm sure is going to be the same. And the auditorium, the ayes passed. The motion carries. Taxpayer resolutions. Whereas the town has recently accumulated a large debt burden due to the construction of 3 new elementary schools which replaced older schools, it is therefore resolved that if the town sells any old schools or other town buildings, then proceeds from the sale shall be used towards paying down the debt incurred from school-related bonds.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Is there a motion?
I'm looking for a second here. Second. It's been seconded. Any debate or discussion?
Okay, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make an amendment. I move that the motion be postponed indefinitely. Since we have already addressed it in the previous motion.
He's right. And it can be. We can do it because not sure if we can do that postpone indefinitely here. So it is debatable? The motion, the amendment to postpone is up for debate.
Laura Epke, Neck Road, or, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Larry.
You go ahead, Joe, it's your amendment.
I was going to move the question, but go ahead first.
I was just going to throw my 2 cents behind Mr. Roderick. If it's possible to postpone it indefinitely, because we don't know if and when these buildings will be sold. We don't know what the proceeds are. We don't know what the alternatives are. And it seems to me that we should be making a decision when we have all the facts and something has been fully vetted.
Madam, Mr. Moderator? Using the same logic that I explained to you when we talked about the last motion, is that any proceeds from a sale will go into the general fund. If you put this toward the school indebtedness, you've heard that nothing can happen with that money except an escrow till 2016. If there is, and we don't even know at this point, a sale of property in the town, the money going into the general fund, any excess of the 3% reserve comes back to the taxpayer pretty rapidly. The next town financial meeting, it's usually used to hold down the taxes. It's your money.
Mr. Bowen, this is on the amendment to...
May I be recognized?
We're talking about the resolution, and I think that people, when they're going to vote on a resolution, have to understand the consequences of either postponing or passing it down. And I'm speaking to turning down this resolution, not postponing it. Postponing it is technically the same thing. When we finish the business today, the postponement can't be brought up until next year. It's not like it's going to be voted on at some other time during the course of this year. That's all I'm trying to explain to people, is what happens to the money. And it isn't like it's going to be spent. It's going into the general fund, and the general fund does turn around and come back to you when we exceed our 3%. That's what's happened.
Yes, sir.
Justin Katz, Arbitraris. I want to point out that Mr. Roderick's premise for his movement is false. The amendment was withdrawn. This body did not vote on it. The only conceivable reason to table it at this point is to prevent an affirmative vote to follow through with this resolution.
Yes, Jeff.
Jeff Karen, Chairman of the Budget Committee. I'd like to, I'll state that yes, the money would come into the general fund. However, I'd like everybody to turn to page 4 of their docket, and let's follow the money trail. What will happen, let me just state the facts. What will happen is next year, it will show up in the bottom half as a reimbursable, in the bottom half of that page, as a negative number against the levy. In other words, the money could get spent and probably will get spent, and you're still going to get taxed 4.5% next year if that's where the budget process takes us. The cap will ride on top of any offset. It's right on page 4 in the structure. In fact, years ago when we used to have money in the general fund, every year we had an offset that was in here, and as I became chairman, we didn't do it anymore, so I deleted it. If that money appears, as we used to do it, as the council president says, it will appear in this section, and it will reduce the, it will act in a way such that it can get spent, and you can still run it right up to the cap next year. So it has zero effect, potentially zero effect on reducing your taxes next year, because the cap rides on top of this list of negative numbers.
Mr. Moderator, it's 11 o'clock. I move the question.
Second.
Motion to move the question. Is there any objection? Seeing none and hearing none. The question is to postpone indefinitely the first taxpayer resolution. All in a yes vote will kill it. Okay, we'll stop. We'll not allow it to go forward. Okay.
Point of order, Mr.
Yes.
Moderator. My name is Jennifer Rashley, 184 Highland Road. So a motion, if we vote yes, that means that we would table the motion. We would table
Indefinitely.
indefinitely.
Yes.
And a no,
We would have to take it up right here.
Okay.
Take up the resolution here. All in favor of tabling this resolution, or postponing it indefinitely, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. And now we get the auditorium.
Mr. Moderator, I call for a division.
So they say no. Okay. Yeah, come on. I'm doing it the way it is. The ayes have it. It's clear. Yes, I know. Even though there was no one in the auditorium, their numbers don't outweigh the numbers that say yes. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, an overwhelming majority said no in the auditorium, but an overwhelming majority said yay.
Mr. Moderator, I call for a hand count.
The hand count has been called for. We must hand count. All counters, please, come forward. We will now have a hand count.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator. Point of order, Andrea Souza, 178 Stony Hollow Road.
Yes.
I would like a count of the auditorium if we're going to do a hand count, considering a bunch of people just left.
We're going to do a count here and in the auditorium, a hand count anyway. She's asking for a quorum count. She wants a quorum count. By preponderance of the evidence, it looks like we have a quorum.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator, is exactly what I was going to say. Chris Carter, 52 Harris Drive. A count in the room only applies to question the quorum.
Right, and there's a question of quorum. She has asked for a question of quorum. The quorum is clearly here. They're counting. Who gives the instructions to these guys?
Have all the ayes raised?
All the ayes. You just go to your stations and count. All counters to your stations. Show of hands for aye. The motion before us is to postpone the first taxpayer resolution indefinitely. Please raise your hand with the band on it if you agree. Has to be called at 1 o'clock. This place has to be. School budget or the budget committee? You can separate.
Can't put the town before the school. That's the resolution we haven't even gotten to, right? That's.
Counters, are you ready to count the nays? Okay. All opposed, please raise your hand with the band. Right. But the town can.
So they can order these, they can pick anything.
Right. And if it passes by a majority. Not, it can be a voice vote, or it can be, hand vote.
It's like it's keep moving.
I got two. I should have brought three. I didn't think that. I normally carry two anyway. The results are as follows. The nays, 517. The yeas, 448. The amendment is defeated. Now, we go on to the main motion. And that is taxpayer resolution. The town has recently accumulated a large debt burden due to the construction of 3 new elementary schools, which replaced older schools. It is therefore resolved that if the town sells any old schools or other town buildings, then the proceeds from any sale shall be used toward paying down the debt incurred from school-related bonds. I have a second.
Move the question.
I object. I have one further comment I would like to make on this. But is the town...
Mrs. Dupree? There is no further debate.
I objected to move the question. I just want to point out one thing that is in the town's interest that should be heard, and that is this, that if you put monies in a defeasance account pending for 6 years, it is limited as to the amount of interest that you can earn. It's an IRS requirement. That being the case, the town needs to have the flexibility. These monies should be put back into the general fund of the town, as I think has been suggested by the president.
Excuse me,
of the
Mr.
council.
Dupree. Okay. According to Mrs. Durfee, according to the moderator's Rule 5,
Yes?
there is no further discussion on this matter or any other. It has already been ruled by this body.
No, I don't think so. Mr. Moderator, the previous question was moved on the amendment, but it was not moved on the main motion.
It was just moved on the main motion, and that's where you stepped.
But I objected, and I think at that point is, I mean, I didn't want to delay this meeting, I just wanted to point that out to the taxpayers.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator and panel. First off, thank you for your dedicated public service. My name is Susan Scanlon, Brackett Avenue, Tiverton. I would just like to point out that you moved the motion and allowed it to be seconded before you allowed anyone to object. So please allow Mrs. Durfee her say. Because I also agree, if just as a layman here trying to understand, if the buildings are sold in the next year, the choice is to put it aside until 2016, where it would not be very useful, or to apply it to the general fund where we have debts, correct?
It doesn't say that.
Mr. Moderator, may I?
It doesn't say that.
Hello, point of order.
Point of order.
Yes.
But we would,
I recognize
we would
Mr.
do-
Titus, please.
Mr. DiMattia, Town Treasurer. I have studied
excuse
this
me, but-
extensively.
All debate on this is out of order because you did adopt Moderator's Rule 5 after discussion. It's not the moving the question which is why this is being voted. It's the fact that Rule 5 says amendments are made after the amendments are voted on. The main motion is voted on without debate. And you adopted this as a body. So you have to comply with the rule that you adopted. If you need to debate it, you debate it in the course of the amendment.
Point of
Once
order.
the amendments are ruled on, there's no further debate on the main motion according to the rule that you
Point
adopted.
of order, please. Point of
Mr.
order, Mr.
Mr. Moderator, Mr. Tights, my reading of Resolve 5 is that it doesn't apply to the situation that just occurred here. The motion to table is a subsidiary motion. It was not an amendment to the main motion, and therefore Resolve 5 is not implicated. There can be discussion on this motion until the moderator rules it out of order. Resolve 5 is simply not applicable in this situation, Mr. Tights, and I think that's correct.
Point of order, to further clarification, Resolve number 5 states that after passing an amendment, the amendment failed, so discussion can take place.
I would concede the point. It is still open for debate then.
Yes, Mr. Souza.
Name's Joe Souza, 49 Hancock Street. Nowhere in this resolve does it say that the money will be locked into any account. It says that the money will be used to pay down school bond debt. If we decide to take the money that we were previously using for school bond debt to either offset the tax rate or make a purchase, that is still allowed. This does not lock the money up. That is false. We will be at the meeting next year if this passes, and we will have the ability to decide where that money goes. It won't be decided by the council. It'll be decided by this body. It does not lock the money up.
Mr. Treasurer, do you still plan to address?
Yes, I'm going to agree everything with what we said. We can do with that money whatever we want to do with. I can put it into a sinking fund. I can maintain interest on it. But my point to you is this: don't be feared into any tactic. We can use that money to apply to the school debt.
Point of order, Justin Katz. My motion to move the question was objected to. That should require a vote on whether to move it. We are now discussing the resolution. We need to vote on the motion. I move the question.
Okay. That was seconded, by the way.
Second.
Now.
Point of order.
Yes, point of order.
Challenge the ruling of the chair.
Which ruling?
The one that you're making this so that you're shutting off all discussion about this particular resolution. The moderator is attempting to shut off all discussion based on Mr. Katz's
I am
motion.
not attempting to shut off all discussion. We went to Resolution 5.
He's moved the question without discussion is what my point is. I think people need to have the opportunity to vet this question appropriately before shutting off debate. And I'm questioning your authority to move the question.
No, he's not moving the question.
I am.
At best, he's calling a vote to move the question.
I am in discussion
If you
at this
don't- if you
point,
wanna
but
discuss
we
it, vote
need
no.
to take a vote as to whether to move the question.
Mr. Moderator, am I allowed to make a comment?
Everyone else has.
Jennifer Rashley, Highland Road. In contrast to what Mr. Souza just said, the money that the proceeds from selling any building in town would have to be held until the bonds can be restructured. No. And so that money would, and we would have to wait until, I don't know, 2017, at which point the
Okay, the
interest
question.
rates, we have no, it's a gamble. We don't know what the interest rates
Point of
will be.
order. The question on the floor is whether or not to move the question. Right at this point, ma'am, you are addressing a totally different subject, and at this time, you are out of order. We have to discuss whether or not this motion to move the question is going to pass or not. Now, all in favor of moving the question, say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Now we wait for the auditorium. Counters to your stations, please.
It's too close. It's too close.
Do 2/3, you either do ballot. Or you want to count it? Counters to your stations, please.
Why? Mr. Moderator, why are we counting? Mr. Moderator, why are we counting?
The auditorium was overwhelming the other way. So now
And
we
there's
have-
100 people there?
Now we have to count to make sure that it is right. There's 188 people in the auditorium.
Point of order. Could you please clarify the question as a poor layman? I do not know what it means to move to order, and I'd like to know what I'm voting
To
Mm-hmm.
on.
move the motion
Move the motion.
is to limit all further discussion and debate on the motion, which is the main motion, which is taxpayer resolution. We have been going through this for a long time. Time is getting short, folks. So, all those in favor of closing debate and moving the question, please raise your hand with the band on it.
Mr. Moderator, are you blind? Do you really need to take a hand vote? Do you really need to count? I mean, put your glasses on, look around.
We have 2 locations in which it has to be a fair vote.
There's only 100 and some odd people in the other room, sir.
Yes, but it was also overwhelmingly the other way.
No, for the future.
Excuse me. This is crazy. We'll be back next week. Go ahead and start taking names. Counters, are you ready to count the nays?
I thought they just did that.
What's this? What's this thing? Names? Let's put that one. Put that on.
We are just recounting the ayes in one section here.
Yes, ma'am. Right there, right beside Mrs. Durkin.
So you're doing a recount for just this section, correct?
Attention, all nays. All opposed to moving the question, please raise your hand with the band. Counters? This happens to be a 2/3 vote, ladies and gentlemen. Always. Go first. How many times I got to?
Okay, I guess that's something I want to ask, but I won't. Hi. That's to move the question.
Yeah, we're going to go right to the vote. Tell the counters to vote. Or you can do it, I guess. Do it for a voice vote on the main motion.
We have results, which this vote required a 2/3 majority. 909 voted yes to move the question. 36 voted no.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Moderator.
This person in the middle has the floor.
My name is Carol Durkin, 178 Highland Road, and I would just like to make a motion that we change the wording of the resolve to leave out bonds.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but that is too late.
It's too late?
Yes. The motion to move the question has passed.
I got the wrong information. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
My understanding of the voting procedure, John Souza, 178 Stony Hollow Road. My understanding of the process that we talked about very early in this meeting was to go from a voice vote to a raising hands to a hand count. We seem to be missing the raising hands. To me, 900 to 30 raising hands simply would have been sufficient and saved an awful lot of time and gotten us the hell out of here sometime today.
And you are correct, sir. But we needed a 2/3 majority. We went by the rules of order, and you're delaying the proceedings even more. We do have a 1 o'clock deadline. Counters, please, to your stations.
Mr. Moderator, can we just vote on this resolve?
There has been a motion to move
I don't think anybody needs a hand vote for this resolve, Mr. Moderator.
May I have a second to move the motion has been made?
We've already voted to move it, sir.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Can you just repeat?
We are voting on the Taxpayer Resolution 1. That is the main motion.
Can you repeat the resolution and explain what a yes and a no vote means very quickly before we vote?
A yes vote at this point will say we will accept the taxpayer resolution.
Mr. Moderator, are we done with that resolution?
Not as yet.
Already voted to move the vote.
All those in favor?
Let's vote.
You want to move the motion?
Is the motion accepted? I have a point of order and a motion to make. Mr. Moderator, I have a point of order and a motion to make.
To this tax resolution? To this tax resolution?
No.
There's nothing, not yet.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tax resolution.
Yes, sir.
Passed.
You wait 1 minute, please. What's the problem? What's the problem?
You've got an overwhelming eye here. They couldn't tell in the auditorium, but you've got far more people here, and this is a straight majority vote. So do you
I'm
want to
gonna ask
call
it
it?
again.
Are you going to redo it? With an
The voice has
explanation?
it to go.
Pardon me?
The voice vote has it that we move it forward.
That it passed. The voice vote has it passed. Are you going to announce that, or are you going to revote because of the confusion?
No.
Okay, you just say that it's passed.
The motion has passed that we will accept taxpayer resolution.
Mr. Moderator.
Could I please now? Could I please now?
Mr. Moderator.
A second.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion that we move to page 8 of the docket so we can get into the nitty-gritty, into the finances of this town financial
They can do
meeting,
that. They can do
instead of
that.
wasting the whole day on the resolve.
Before we move on, Mr. Moderator, point of order, I'd just like to object to the last vote on the record. I don't think people were aware of the question or knew how to vote.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator.
But they have the right.
Excuse me. Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
you clearly stated prior to any vote that you would state whether or not clearly what a yay and nay vote meant. This last vote, you did not state anything of that nature. I object to the vote that was just taken because nobody understood what was going on.
They want to redo the vote. And I can't do that. Well, seeing all this opposition,
Point of order, Mr.
I
Moderator.
will go back. Yes, sir.
Roger Garthier, Highland Road. My understanding of what we just voted on was to defer any further discussion on the question. We did not vote on the motion. We voted on the deferring any further discussion. Now it is time to vote on the resolution. Thank you.
And which would move the motion forward.
Can I make an amendment to that?
No.
Just one word.
Debate has been closed.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. Could you please clarify for us where we stand on this issue right now in terms of voting?
Yes, I'm going to do that right now. We are going to do a revote. Now, we are going to vote again on taxpayer resolution 1.
Please do it by a hand count. Voice vote is just a matter of who's louder. We need accurate counts when we're talking about this. Please take all of our votes either by a hand count or by the counters. That's the simplest form, and it gives us a more accurate, especially when we have 100 and some people in another room. That's fine, but I want an accurate representation of what's here. You can vote. I know it is, but it's got to be done the right way. And the right way is to count everyone who's here attending. There's so much confusion. People don't even know what
Mr.
they're
Boland,
voting on.
please.
This is not the
Mr.
intent
Boland,
of the
you are out of
financial
order.
town meeting.
We are taking a vote at this point to move and to vote on Taxpayer Resolution 1.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. Robert's Rules of... Point of order, please. Jennifer Ashley, 184 Highland Road. Robert's Rules states that we are allowed to know what we are voting for. And so if you would kindly tell us what a yes vote means and what a no vote means, please. Thank you.
A yes vote will pass Taxpayer Resolution 1. A no vote means it will fail. Taxpayer Resolution 1, as was read and will be read again. Whereas the town has recently accumulated a very large debt burden due to the construction of 3 new elementary schools, which replaced older schools. It is therefore resolved that if the town sells any old schools or other town buildings, then the proceeds from any sale shall be used toward paying down the debt incurred from school-related bonds. A yes vote, a yea vote will pass this resolution. A nay vote will not. May I have, by a show of hands, a yea or a nay? How about the yeas first?
Mr. Moderator, just to be clear, you're taking only yea votes at this time because you're unclear.
Only yea votes
Thank
at this
you.
time. Yep. Now, can I have all those opposing this resolution? It's close.
All right, so we're going to have the counters. Get the counters.
No, we can go right to the ballot.
No, don't go to the ballot. The counters. Just get the counters. Hand count. Don't go to the ballot. Get the count. Get the counters. Ask the counters.
Again, it's close. Counters to your stations, please. All the resolutions? Maybe. I know. You want to come back next week? No, I don't. All those in favor of Taxpayer Resolution 1, please raise your hand to be counted.
They can do that. Or there's going to be another motion. I think it's an order if they want to move the agenda around.
I don't want to do that. I can't, no.
But they can.
I could have in the beginning. I could have before it was made. What's the auditorium say? The moderator can make the motion. I can make the motion to move the rest of the resolutions.
You can't make motions.
That's right, because I'm not, yeah.
You can't make, you can vote, but you can't make.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be, I told Jeff. And he's all for it. Yeah, because I told him, he says, they're going to try and shoot this all down. Move this right on through. And I said, well, there's a motion to accept the rest of them anyway. This is going to be up next. Anyone else? Okay. Counters. We are now going for nay votes on this taxpayer resolution 1. All those opposed to taxpayer resolution 1, please raise your hand with the band. Yeah, I know. Which means we'd have to go by, well, we could go by ballot on that one.
Well, you could take a 2/3 vote and it's overwhelming. I mean, you can still say it's 2/3. You can try the voice first.
Well, if they put it out as 2/3 vote, put it out, and I ask for a show of hands.
Yep.
I ask for a show of hands. Without comment, in this place, a sea of hands. It passes.
Dave.
The chair himself could not depart from the prescribed order of business. It's only the assembly.
Right. Right.
Essentially, what you're doing is suspending. Essentially, it's the same as suspending.
Yeah, it is.
But listen.
It was close.
We have the results. Can I have quiet, please? I don't want to get out anymore. They vote to accept or deny Resolution 1. The ayes are 481 for accepting. The nays are 514 to not accept Resolution 1. Motion failed.
Mr. Moderator?
Could I please speak to...
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
rules of order.
Mr. Moderator, I would like to make a motion at this
Excuse
time.
me, sir, but this gentleman here has the floor.
I'm sorry, sir, but I think I was at this microphone before he was. And I was here before, Mr. Moderator, and I'm making my same motion again. And that motion is that we go to page 11, page 8 of the docket.
Second.
Mr. Moderator, point of order. I would ask that you rule that out of order. It's a deviation from the agenda.
Right. I see no yes.
Please.
It's a motion to take it out of order. Page 8.
Could I please speak and make a motion? First,
no, you can't. No.
Mr. Moderator, I'd just like to suggest that one option would be for somebody to just move the remaining resolutions all at once.
No.
You could do this in one vote.
No, sir. I have a motion on the floor with a second, sir.
I seconded your motion before.
Thank you.
There has been a motion made and seconded to move on to page 8 of the agenda. And revisit the resolutions later.
Could I justify why I seconded this motion? I think we are here to conduct.
I don't think it's necessary.
This is part of the discussion, isn't it?
Yes.
This is part of the discussion. We are here to conduct very important business. Not that these resolutions are not important, but I don't think it's right to make the most important decisions in the last 20 minutes of the meeting.
Wait a minute.
And I will move the question.
5 minutes. The motion to move to page 8 has been made and seconded. Now this vote will require a 2/3 vote.
No, Mr. Moderator, I challenge that. Why does it require a 2/3 vote? It only requires a majority vote, sir.
Say again, please.
I said I challenge that. It only requires a majority vote, not a 2/3 vote. Where are you getting a 2/3 vote? The majority of the people here can rule as to how they want to conduct their business here.
Doesn't show that. Where does it say that?
According to Robert's Rules of Order, and for those of you with the book, it's page 351, it's under Rule 41, taking up business out of its proper order. Any particular item or business can be taken up out of its proper order by adopting a motion to suspend the rules by a 2/3 vote.
Well, let me ask you, sir, where is the proper order, and when did we vote on a proper order of this document?
The charter provides that unless otherwise amended by this body, Robert's Rules of Order govern it.
I'm not challenging Robert's Rule of Order. What I'm saying to you, sir, is that where is it written that we have to follow this docket as it's written?
It's not.
Okay, so therefore we are not taking it out of order. We're taking it out of the way it's written in the docket, but we're not taking it out of order.
Yes, you're taking an item out of order, which is allowed under Robert's Rules of Order by a 2/3 vote.
To suspend the rules.
Let's have the vote.
By that 2/3 vote is to suspend the rules.
That's not the motion.
In order to accept that motion, we need to suspend the rules and pass it or fail it by 2/3 majority.
Parliamentary inquiry. Will this vote lead us to a specific page of the docket, or are we voting to move to the subject matter of that page and vote on the budget? I mean, what is it exactly that we're doing? Are we voting on the budget, or are we moving to a particular page which doesn't have any motion on it? It's just a point of clarification.
I seconded the motion. My second was to move to page 8, beginning with the schools, starting on voting on the budget.
Well, before we can do that, we need a vote to suspend the rules so that we may go to page 8.
Roger Bennis, Narragansett Avenue. I believe the motion is out of order because we have not yet started voting. We are voting on the rules. Since we have not finished the rules, we are not yet prepared to vote on any monetary items. Therefore, I believe it's out of order.
At this point, the rules have not been voted, but the resolutions are what the rules have been voted. The resolutions are not the rules of this meeting. Those resolutions have been passed already. So at this point.
Question?
Yes.
Roger Gauthier, Highland Road.
Yes.
There are resolutions that affect things that we're going to vote on in the budget that we haven't voted on yet. So how would we move to budget questions when there are budget resolutions that we haven't passed yet? It was just a point of information. I don't see how we can do that.
Well, what I am suggesting is this, okay? If the individual that has moved that we go to page 8 changes his motion to be that we accept the rest of the resolves as written and yet get a second, then we can just carry on from there.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
Under the town charter, if you look at the town charter, it says that...
Can't hear you, sir. Speak up.
Town charter, section 306. At least 301 electors shall be necessary to continue a quorum in any special meeting of the town financial meeting. All questions shall be decided by a majority vote of the qualified electors present and voting. A majority. It doesn't say anything about 2/3.
Which proceeds.
No, it doesn't.
Point of interest. I object to not doing the resolutions according to the plan which is in here. It is now 11:45. We can finish the resolutions and postpone this meeting to next week.
These are the consequences. The consequences of doing what we're doing.
The problem is, if you people want to go through this budget, people have objections to school. Pardon me? It's all the school department.
Make sure they don't talk to each other.
Oh, shut your ass.
You gonna tell me my job?
They can have shouting matches.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're wearing a red shirt.
please, this is not a yelling match between individuals. This is a business meeting. Please conduct yourself accordingly.
Mr. Moderator, Chris Carter, 52 Harris Drive. In an effort to expedite some issues, I would suggest, and it would be my motion, that we postpone taxpayer resolution number 2 until the end of the financial data, but adopt all 5 budget committee resolutions right now and move on to the financial data. Because resolution number 2 is very controversial, and we can deal with it once all the finances are done. It has no impact on the finances.
I will second this.
We'll still have to take five additional votes because we got the budget committee resolves, and I know the town council has an objection to 3 that has taken away the right to transfer between municipal accounts.
I withdraw my motion.
So what the
Mr.
heck?
Moderator, Mr.
Yes.
Moderator, we need to follow the agenda. There are over 50 people who signed a petition to get the taxpayer resolve on the docket. To do that is to disenfranchise voters.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Mr. Burke.
Mike Burke, 67 Durfee Road. I don't think anybody's talking about not getting to a vote on that. It's simply The decision.
Mike, we can't hear you.
The decision before us is not whether or not we should vote on that resolution. It's when we should vote on that resolution. So there's no disenfranchisement going on here. So I move the question on Mr. Martin's motion.
The question is, it has been moved and seconded to take page 8 and out of order. All those in favor of taking page 8 out of order and moving the taxpayer resolutions to a later time, please say aye. All opposed to taking page 8 out of order, say aye. Nay, rather.
Mr. Moderator.
I'm calling for a hand count, please. Counters.
Mr. Moderator, did that motion go through?
Pardon?
I couldn't hear you. Did that motion go through? Did that pass?
It was too close for me to count at this point.
Well, I'm requesting a hand vote, sir.
Just raise your hand.
We're going to have a hand count.
Absolutely.
Counters, please, to your stations.
Mr. Moderator, what is the required amount of voters to approve?
Pardon?
What is the required majority for this motion?
Majority. 2/3.
2/3.
So are you telling me that the Robert's Rules of Order supersede the town charter? Is that
Yes.
what you're telling me? It does, eh? That's interesting.
Town charter says we should go by Robert's Rules of Order. Okay. All those in favor of taking page 8 out of order and putting the taxpayer resolutions for another time, please raise your hand. This will
Mr.
indicate...
Moderator, I think that is not the correct statement of what this does. This moves page 8 to the next voting items, moves everything else, not simply the taxpayer resolution, after we deal with that section. That's what it does.
You're right. It moves everything else back. All those in favor of taking page 8 out of order and moving everything else back, please raise your hand with the band. This requires a 2/3 vote. We will have the 2/3 vote to do it.
Are you counting this table?
No, no. Yeah, but it's just going to get the school department out of here. That's what it is. They just want to get out.
But we go back to the resolve, we go back to municipal.
We will go back to the resolves.
For municipal, only the schools.
No. We get it all. They want page 8. They want it
The whole
all.
budget, which is really 8 through whatever, 16. And if they do it like that. What they've really done is they moved up the budget committee docket to the first thing, which means the first thing would be to recognize the budget committee.
We'll call you right back.
Good. I can take a break.
We'll call you right back.
What?
Good. I can take a break. Because, well, self-dominated.
The moderator appointed Robert Rules of Order.
Mr. Moderator, do we have a total count of people in the hall?
Who cares?
Pardon me?
Do we have a total count of people that are here?
At this point, no, I don't. But
Well, in order to get 2/3 vote, I need to know how many people are in the auditorium and...
we
in the
will have
gymnasium.
the count. This is not not gonna fail. This is not gonna fail.
If you want, Nancy said the total count is 997, and I don't even know if you want.
Someone has already asked. The total count is 997.
Can you call Cooper and see what he wanted? Okay.
That's counted.
Counters, are you ready for the nays? Counters, are you ready for the nays? All those opposed to taking page 8 out of order and putting the rest of the resolutions for another time, maybe pushing everything else back, raise your hand. All nays.
Listen.
So are you voting nay?
Oh yeah, he definitely is going nays. And actually, the proper way should have been to suspend the rules and then do this.
That's why we pay you so much. That's why you get 8 hours worth of pay for doing
Mr. Moderator, did you state the total number of people present?
997 people total.
Is the two-thirds majority the two-thirds of the total number of electors present or the total number voting?
Voting.
Sorry.
I'm here first. Watch.
I'm ready.
I don't know. The vote requires a two-thirds. They didn't get a count of how many people here.
Not in the room. Two-thirds of the vote.
Two-thirds of the total vote. Okay. Then why in the past have we asked how many people are here?
We've only done it for a quorum.
That's grand totals? The voting is as follows. 737 yay, 244 nay, 981 individuals voting.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Mr. Moderator, I would like to make a motion at this time that the motion to appropriate $20,666,000.
Whoa.
You cannot have a point of order. I have not even put the motion on the floor, sir.
The budget committee has to go.
No, the budget has to make, we have to,
You get to make the motion before he calls for vote.
but rules of order here. Now, by doing this, what we do is we simply postpone dealing with resolutions. But now we follow the process, I believe, which simply says that now Budget Committee has to make the recommendation, so we start, and then School Committee and other departments put out their numbers. So we are not starting with the School Committee number, we have to follow the order.
I apologize.
Thank you.
You're right. But then I'm next.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Budget Leader.
may I have the floor?
Yes, sir, you may.
Thank you. Budget Committee moves for the school department operating and capital funds from local sources, $20,047,961.
Motion has been made and seconded. The floor is open for discussion.
No, you.
Now, I believe, I can put the number for the school committee, for the school department. On the behalf of the school department, I would like to put forward the following number: 25,600,000. Excuse me. I have a right to express that number, and then you can express your opinion. So the number is $620,000, 772. So 25,620,772, of which 20,979,30 is from local taxation, and 4,641,742 is from state and general operational aid. This is predicted based on meeting BEP and governor's budget, which is 3.1% reduction. The budget committee's number is based on the funding formula, which is under discussion. We don't even know which funding formula will be approved or if it will be approved. So I repeat the total: $25,620,772. And based on ruling which we have received from the Department of Education.
Mr. Moderator, point of order, Mr. Moderator. Are we speaking on the motion? The motion is not through.
You're out of order. He has the floor.
He's speaking on the motion.
He has the
Present
floor.
the motion, and then we can speak on it.
You cannot over-speak. He has the floor.
Okay, go ahead. Remember that.
Are you done? There was some confusion in terms of how we're supposed to vote on the school's budget. We seek the ruling of RIDE on that, I'm sorry, thank you, Rhode Island Department of Education, Legal Counsel, on that matter. And we received the answer. This handout was placed over there together with Commissioner's letter that we have to vote based on Rhode Island statute on the total appropriation for the school department. We cannot vote as a town only for the local appropriation, because ultimately the community is fully responsible for educating the children. So this is not our opinion. We know that there was some controversial discussion on that matter. We did what was right. We went to the state and we got the legal opinion. So these are the true numbers. These are the numbers backed up by the law, and we will stand by those. Another ruling which happened was against us because we did not know yet how to count federal ERA money. This ruling was against us, so we had to reduce our number, and we did so. So these are the true numbers backed up by the legal opinion from Rhode Island Department of Education. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Moderator, may I make a motion?
An amendment to that motion.
Mr. Moderator,
The
may I
amendment
make
to
a
that
motion?
motion will be 20,620,772. $666,622 for the school appropriation. That would be the town's portion of it. What you get from the state is your business. God bless you if you get $10 million, but if you only get $1 million, don't look to us for the rest. That's a state ruling. The state says that we have to give you as much as we gave you last year or more. Well, I would think that that ruling would apply to them. So if they gave you $5 million last year, they're going to give you another $5 million this year or more. The second part of my motion, sir, is that we appropriate, and I'm taking this one swipe, $17,281,479 to be appropriated to the municipal budget. And with that, that is one
Excuse
motion.
me.
I believe that I would like to make an explanation. I took the requested amount from the school committee versus the recommended amount from the budget committee, and I cut that dollar amount in half because I believe that the school department does need an increase. I think fuel, electricity, and other expenses have gone up. That gives it an increase of $618,662. That's a pretty substantial amount of money. On the municipal side, I went over the budget committee's recommendation by $251,407. And what that represented was putting back in the visiting nurses, some of the medical things that we have in town, not eliminating one of the jobs and reducing it to a part-time job. The further part of my motion, and I'll give you this in writing, sir, is I would like to request that a ballot vote be taken to ensure the privacy and the fair, unintimidated vote of the people in this hall. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, may I make a motion?
Point of order. That is out of order. We voted to consider the items on page 8, and you cannot amend a motion to pass a school department budget by passing a municipal budget.
We also passed a motion to approve the entire docket, a resolution in the front. So, yes, we did.
Mr.
Page 8
Moderator?
only.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Mr.
David
Nelson.
Nelson, Peaceful Way.
Is there any action on
I
my
make
motion?
a motion.
I'm sorry. I just want action on the motion. Is that incorrect? Can we do whatever we want under the aegis of voting on the school department?
Say
Which
that
is what again, Mr.
please.
Martin just did?
We cannot hear you.
I'm asking, is it possible now on a motion to amend a motion for the school budget in such a way as to do whatever we want, the entire docket? Because then I'll make a motion that we include the taxpayer resolution. I mean, this could be insane if we allow that.
No.
So then Mr. Martin's motion is out of order.
Got to be
correct?
combined.
No, not Mr. Begani. Mr. Martin.
We combine just to the school budget.
So is Mr. Martin's amendment out of order?
The rest of the information that he gave us is out of order.
Okay.
The school budget is up on discussion. Any other information that was given is out of order and will have to be handled in a separate motion at the appropriate time.
I challenge the chair. We passed a resolution saying that at any point, number 6, we could pass the entire docket. Mr. Martin has a right to his motion.
Could the clerk please read the minutes of what was passed when we moved to page 8?
The court?
Number 6, resolution number 6, there's no motion to approve
No.
the budget as recommended or requested. It shall be approved unless said motion is adopted by majority of the assembly. In other words, if he wants to move it.
Okay, but he's got to move it then without amending it. Then.
Right.
That would be separate amendment.
Right.
Separate motion.
Rule 6, the resolution 6 that you are referring to. Rule 6 that you are referring to says, no motion to approve the remainder of the budget as recommended or requested or amended shall be approved unless said motion is adopted by a majority of the assembly. That does not mean that they can amend the amounts.
Yes,
It would be just as it is.
No.
What's the word "or amended" mean?
Mr. Moderator,
That
may I
is,
be recognized?
if you look at it, it is saying the budget as recommended
Or requested, or amended.
or amended.
Mr. Moderator, may I be recognized?
What was that, David?
Mr. Moderator, may I be recognized? Jeff Karen.
Yes, Jeff.
Thank you. This issue came up last year, and it was appealed, and there was a ruling. And what ended up happening is that the motion, the resolve number 6. Okay, this was the ruling last year, which was upheld. That resolve number 6 is a standalone, non-amendable item. Okay. What's just happened here is a motion to move the school amount has been amended and turned into a motion to move the entire docket in an amended form. I think based upon the decision, the ruling last year at the meeting, that we would have to argue that that is improper.
Mr. Moderator, point of order. Point of order takes precedence.
The Board of Order takes over.
Mr. Moderator, David
Yes.
Nelson, Peaceful
Yes,
Way.
Mr. Nelson.
I'd like to make a motion in the interest of time, recognizing that we've made very little progress, to move the entire docket as recommended by the Budget Committee for a total for fiscal year 2011 of $37,078,033.
Mr. Moderator, first off, you have an appeal before you from Mrs. Palish that takes precedence. My point of order is that implicit in number 6 is that there is allowable a motion to take the entire docket. So I would suggest that we need to move on Ms. Palish's appeal of your opinion, and then depending on that, follow through with the subsequent motions.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. I believe that the motion before us is an appeal of the moderator's position that the mixing of, or the presenting of both budgets is out of order. So I think, as amended. So I submit that the motion before us right now is whether to appeal your ruling as to whether the motion to present both school committee and town committee amendments is out of order.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll keep trying. We have only until 1 o'clock, right? We have only until 1 o'clock.
Sorry, Andy.
Okay. The reason that I ruled him as out of order is he was trying to move not only an amendment to the school committee's budget, but also amendments to other department budgets where the school committee at this time, school board at this time, has the floor, and they are addressing, and we are addressing as a body what is happening with the school committee. We are not addressing the remainder of the budget at this time. We are just doing the school budget.
Fine.
So he would be out of order, trying to move all his own amendments to other departments and other totals all at once, which is not the proper way to do it. Every amendment that he wants to change either has to come up individually, or as a body, this assembly needs to move the entire agenda, the entire budget,
unamended.
and unamended.
And I so move. That is my motion.
At this time,
There's an appeal.
He
Point of
just
order,
ruled that
Mr.
out of order.
Moderator. We have appealed your ruling. Now, you need to take a vote on that appeal.
Right.
Maybe it's time that you step down and let somebody up there that knows what they're doing.
Will you restate the appeal? Okay. Oh. Let's ask for a vote on the appeal. Okay, Mr. Martin, can you repeat verbatim the motion so we know what the appeal is?
Sure. You have my motion in hand, in writing. What more can I do for you?
We're appealing
I
the
have appealed your ruling. Your next course is to call for a vote, whether the people want to uphold your ruling or if they want to go against your ruling and go along with what I said. That's all you got to do. It's very simple.
No.
Mr. Moderator, maybe this is a tactic on your part to delay this until 1 o'clock when we have to close. Is that the idea?
He's saying we can't vote the rest of the docket, and that's what we're trying to do to get out of here.
Not the explanation, just the motion. But see, here's why. Okay. I have a point of order.
I agree,
Yes.
but I think we get to a motion and we debate it, and not because I want to get out of here. Yeah?
Mr. Martin, your motion, you were ruled out of order, and that's being appealed. And therefore, the question the body needs to know is what is being appealed. And my understanding of what you have presented here in writing, above explanation is only one sentence. Motion to appropriate 20 million, 666, for the school appropriation and 17,281, 479 to be appropriated to the municipal budget.
That is correct.
Okay.
One motion takes care of the whole thing.
Right, but it's not as written. It's actually and this is, I just want to make clear why the out of order decision was, and the body can decide or not. It's because you're both moving, one can move the whole motion, the rest of the agenda, but you're both amending it and moving it all in one.
What's wrong with that?
Okay, so that is the motion that's been ruled out of order. And now the moderator is going to call for a vote on the appeal of whether that's in order or not. And the motion, as we said at the beginning, will be, shall the moderator's decision be upheld? If you vote yes, then it's out of order. The moderator's decision is upheld and your motion is out of order. If people vote no, then the moderator's decision is overturned and your motion would be in order.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, before you call for the vote, Mr. Moderator, before you call for the vote, Ed Roderick, 19 Sparrow Drive, I just want to make a comment. We are dealing here with a budget of over $40 million. And to put pressure on people just because you want to get out of here at 1 o'clock, this is the taxes, this is the business of the town of Tiverton. And it is not fair to the taxpayers, to the teachers, to the students, to the people of this town to push through a budget just because you want to get out of here at 1 o'clock.
Okay, now we need to vote.
May I be recognized?
No.
On the appeal. On the appeal, I want to suggest.
There is
We have
no
to
further
discuss the
discussion.
appeal. You get a discussion.
We are voting on the appeal.
Right, and that's a debatable item per Robert's rules, and I have a point to make regarding that discussion.
Can you get closer to the mic? I could not hear what you're saying.
Justin Katz, Arbor Terrace. I want to make a point regarding the appeal, and appeals are debatable according to Robert's rules. My point is, I do not see anywhere in Resolve Number 6 the authority to move the budget at any time. I see a method of moving the budget, but not something that supersedes the order of the meeting. If it does supersede the order of the meeting, then I'll make an amendment to move the budget as written, because if number 6 is overriding everything.
The town charter.
This is resolve number 6. It does not say anything about at any time. It just says how it will be passed.
Mr. Moderator, may I be heard?
No.
Yes, Mr. Coulter.
Thank you. Robert Coulter, Lawton Avenue. I would also suggest...
Bob, can you speak up or turn the mic on or something?
I would also suggest that as we're discussing this appeal, that we are also in violation of resolve number 2, that for each and every one of these departments, that it has to go to the Budget Committee Chair or his designee, and then also to the department heads if Mr. Gonzalo chooses to offer an amendment. And we're violating, first of all, we only had suspended the rules to get to page 8 only, but even ignoring that, we would also be violating probably Rule 6 and Rule 2 if you support this appeal. And so, you can appeal the ruling of a chair or the moderator, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to follow the rules. So I would encourage you to not support this appeal, and let's get on with the order of the day. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator. I don't know if Mr. Holt has been in previous town financial meetings, but I've been coming to him for a good number of years, and I'm pretty well known to have moved the rest of the docket one shot.
At this point,
So
there's no further
it's a matter of
discussion.
past
We are
practice.
going to vote on the appeal. Any other debate on the appeal only? If not, please be seated, and we will now explain. This is on the appeal to the chair. Oh, what was that? Did I move them out of order? Hmm?
Hold on one second. Right. You want me to do it?
No.
Should your decision...
Should the decision of this body, of the moderator rather, be sustained, okay, that Mr. Martin was out of order in presenting his motion to include budget changes to other parts of the budget, as I called out of order. A yes vote would mean that he was out of order. A no vote would mean that he wasn't out of order. Okay? Counters, assume your post. By a raise of hands, for yes. Again.
Yeah, wait, a yes is we agree with the I'm confused.
The yes would agree that he was out of order.
Discussion has ended.
Mr. Moderator, I will concede. I can see the show of hands. Let's move it along.
What was that?
However, Mr. Moderator, the first part of my motion stands.
Mr. Moderator, point of order.
Did you
Point of
withdraw
order,
the-
Mr. Moderator.
Did you withdraw your amendment, your motion? Withdraw the appeal, which?
On the appeal, I can certainly recognize that overwhelmingly people were against me putting them both together.
Okay.
However, I still go with the 20
You
million.
still want to go with your
Mr. Moderator.
recommendation on the motion for the school department? Is that yes? You still want to go with your motion on the school department and the municipal budget?
No, the school department.
The 20,666,622.
That's correct.
For the school appropriations.
Correct.
And the 17,281? No.
No.
So
No,
you want
just-
you just want the school portion?
Read my lips. Just the school department.
Okay. Okay, the discussion is on...
Discussion is any more?
Are there any other amendments to this school budget?
Yes.
Are there any other amendments?
I have an amendment to the
to be
school
made
budget.
on the school budget?
And I have amendment.
I was first. Justin Katz, Arbitraris.
Mr. Nelson, do you have an amendment for the school budget, Mr. Nelson?
For the operating and capital funds from local sources to the school budget, school department, I move to amend the Budget Committee's recommendation of $20,047,961 by substituting the amount of $20,075,461, which is an increase of $27,500. This represents the most we can give the schools, but still stay within the tax cap without further reducing the municipal budget.
All right. That's the amendment.
So, is this the third amendment?
Third amendment.
I move to amend the main motion as follows. 25,520,782 for the school, which includes $4,641,742 in school aid, which adds, because of the school aid, $5,724,228 to the Budget Committee's woeful recommendation of $20,047,961.
Could you repeat the number? We didn't hear it. Could you repeat the number, please?
25,520,782, which includes aid of $4,641,742.
Yeah.
Order. Order. One more outburst, sir, and you will be escorted out.
Point of order. Point of order. Mr. Moderator, that needs to be ruled out of order.
Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator,
Yes,
can I be recognized? I'd like to get to the merits of some of these issues. And specifically, I'd like to respond to Ms. Palish's proposal and to the proposal that was made by Mr. Briganti.
Excuse me, sir.
I want to make sure.
Are you addressing the school budget?
That's right. It's
problem.
the school budget,
Then
and that's
please-
all I'm addressing.
Okay.
So I
sir.
want to make. I want to make sure I'm not lost in this crowd.
Are you putting it forth an amendment?
I am
You
not
can.
putting
We
forward
already have
an amendment. What I want to do is discuss the merits of the amendments. J. Lambert, Sunset View Drive.
Let him talk.
Mr. Moderator.
Could I please appeal to school supporters to remain calm so we can conduct the business? Could you please all remain calm?
Mr. Moderator, am I recognized because I intend to oppose the motion that was made by Mr. Briganti. I want to know that this is the appropriate time, and I want to review the issue carefully. If there are any other procedural points that have to be made at this time, let them be made. But I intend to address the merits of Mr. Briganti's proposal.
Mr.
I will call the vote. I will call the vote.
Okay, now here.
Mr. Moderator, point of order. Mr. Moderator, point of order.
Yes, sir.
Amendments number 1 and number 3 are out of order because they exceed the tax cap and the amount that the schools can request. In the case of Mr. Briganti, it's the amount he can request, and in the case of the other one, it's because of the tax cap.
I thank you for that information, sir. At this point,
Just one more
it
question
is
to clarify.
in discussion. We are in discussion about the third amendment. And the individual that gave the third amendment, please come up to the microphone and give me those totals again, please.
25,520,782, which includes aid of $4,641,742.
And what is the town number?
Is it town?
We're not doing a town number, we're doing the schools.
Right. The town's contribution.
subtract the two. The thing never said I had to, Mr. Burgundy, what was your town contribution?
I cannot hear you because we are here behind the speakers, so it's like a dead zone here, so you have to speak straight to microphone for us to hear you.
$20,979,040. That was his. $20,979,040.
$20,979,030. That's our number from local taxation. Yes. $4,641,741. This is
And I
our
raised
estimate
everything by
of
10.
state operational, general aid for operations.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
may I have a point of clarification?
Pardon me?
Point of clarification on these numbers,
Yes.
please. Sally Black, Vice Chair of Tiverton School Committee, speaking as a citizen. Everything's so confusing. Let me cut right to the facts. We always go docket to docket at these town meetings. We have for all these years. Now, last year, we came to this meeting, and the Budget Committee and the School Committee had voted for 25, 527, 969. That's what we all agreed on. We all came here together. We stood in the street with signs saying, vote for this. And then we came to this meeting, and a member of the Budget Committee who had voted for this budget voted for the 24-9 is what we got last year, okay? So this year, we're asking for 25,620, 772, which is a 2.9% increase, and only a 0.8% increase from the year before. Don't believe all these 9% and 11%. It's all garbage. The numbers are right here. No, no, no. The facts are here. The facts are here, and the facts are here. The facts are here. The facts are here.
Order.
No, what?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Nick Chungus, 1106 Main Road. I just want to point out that in combination of the single dollar increase last year for the school committee budget, $1, and in addition to that, the current budget committee's recommendation on the school committee budget, on the school budget. If we support that, in addition to that last year's vote, and we want to maintain academic programming, we will begin by closing one of the new elementary schools for a savings of $500,000, eliminating all extracurricular activities. That means every sport and every after-school activity for a saving of another $231,000. And unfortunately, even the drastic cuts then would only total $738,000 when we have to...
Excuse me, he's out of order. We have 3 motions on the floor. I move to vote on the motions that were made.
I'm speaking in favor of Mrs. I'm speaking in favor of Mrs. Polish's motion.
We moved the question.
And, well, I'm sure you can after I'm done.
Take control of the meeting and put him out of order.
I'm taking control of the meeting, sir. You please sit down. You are speaking over this individual. He has the floor.
First of all, town charter supersedes, then we go to the resolves, then we go to Robert's rules. That's how this meeting should be run. That's what we agreed to. Follow the rules, please.
Can I continue, Mr. Moderator?
And you are speaking to Amendment 3.
I was speaking in favor of the Third Amendment.
Okay.
Unfortunately, even with those cuts, as I've already listed, that would only lead to $738,000 in savings, leaving us with still $462,000 to cut. I'm getting to the concessions. That means we would have to eliminate middle school band, high school chorus, strings program to save another $110,000. And then 5 or 6 teaching positions at the high school. Now, if for those people who think that getting concessions for the teachers are important, let me also emphasize that the current school committee budget request includes $440,000 worth of concessions from the teachers, including an 18% co-share on insurance. That is over.
Order.
That is over $2,000 worth of concessions for each teacher. I move to support Ms. Polish's amendment.
Mr. Moderator,
Any
move
further
the question,
discussion for
please.
Amendment 3? Yes,
Move
sir.
the question, please.
Yep.
Point of, clarif-
Now, what was the-
point of clarification,
Yes.
if I may. My name's Larry Miranda, Hobson Avenue in Tiverton. Mr. Karen, you've proposed 20,000 and change. Mr. Martin's proposed 20,600. Ms. Polish is 20,600,000. Mrs. Polish has proposed 25 million. Obviously, the difference is in the state aid and the federal funds coming in. What are you two folks working off the same number? Because we're talking apples and oranges here, folks.
Well, why don't we discuss that if I can
And-
discuss
and
There
if
has
I
been,
may-
excuse me,
and-
sir.
And if I may,
Yeah, out of order. A motion has been made to move the question, so we do need to move the question. At
Well,
this point, we're not going to discuss any further on the Third Amendment. You can stay there and discuss it discuss the second or First Amendment.
Mr. Moderator,
That's fine.
I want to get to the merits of both the motion that was made by Ms. Palish and the motion that was made by Mr. Briganti.
It has
They're
already-
essentially one and the same motion.
Excuse
they
me,
just
sir,
changed a few
but you are out of
$100.
order because the question has already been moved. It has already been moved to question. Debate on this amendment has ceased.
There are still people up here, Mr. Moderator, who want continued debate.
Okay, I move
Pardon
the
me, sir?
question.
There are still people here that are looking for continued debate.
You know, yeah,
The
Mr.
question
Moderator.
has already been brought up.
Excuse me,
that
Mr. Moderator?
The
Mr.
motion has already been
for the
brought
amount
up
of money
to
that's
move the question on
involved here.
Amendment 3 to the school
Excuse me,
budget.
Mr. Moderator, point of order. If you table a discussion, you have to vote on whether or not to table discussion on an amendment. You cannot move strictly to a vote prior to voting on tabling a discussion.
This is ridiculous. But anybody's telling me what this is all about.
If we take this in
We,
sequence, I think we move the question.
I move the question.
Thank you.
A motion to move the question has been presented. All in favor of moving the question, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No!
Nays have it.
Come back here! What the hell did you hear?
Come on! Or don't you know I from nay?
We will go with a hand count. Here we go with more delays.
Point of order, Mr. Moderator. Point of order, Mr. Moderator. Tell me, how is it that your hearing is better than everybody else to hear that room over there?
Mr. Moderator, a point of order. Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator, a point of order. The decision was made earlier in this meeting that everybody was going to have an informed decision to make. You were going to make sure that everybody got all of the facts and everybody expressed their opinions. I'd like to express an opinion about the amendments that were made by two of the speakers. And I'd like the opportunity to address both of those issues. You're cutting off debate on an important issue with a lot of money involved, and a lot of these people, let me put it bluntly, are misinformed. At least they're entitled to get a second viewpoint.
Mr. Moderator, point of information, just to help out here.
This meeting is going.
A motion to move the previous question is certainly allowable. If you want to continue debate, then you vote down that motion. If you want to just go to vote on the budget, Ms. Palish's motion, which is the last one, then vote up that motion. Okay?
Can we go back to the vote? You can't seriously think that the nays outnumber the ayes on that vote. Really and truly. You can't.
It has been brought to my attention, and we are going with a hand vote.
Fine. Do a hand vote, please.
Counters to your...
Huh?
Point of information, Mr. Moderator.
Oh, this is just number one.
Mr. Moderator, you can go to a visual hand count, vote first. Is that what you're doing?
Pardon?
Are you doing a visual hand count?
No, we're going with the counters.
Why? Why don't you do a visual?
Because
then you can go to a count if you need to.
We do need a 2/3 vote at this point. Now, the vote is as follows. I will speak up. The vote is whether to move the question on Amendment 3, which is amend the budget from the proposed budget from 20,797. I'm sorry here.
Mr. Moderator, you're confusing the issue.
From 20,047.
The motion before us, Mr. Moderator, is simply whether or not to end debate. If you want to end debate, you vote no. I'm sorry. If you want to end debate, you vote yes. If you don't want to end debate, vote no. It's that simple.
We are voting as to whether to end debate on Amendment 3.
Let me add my own point. The way you just introduced...
You're out of order, sir, please.
The fact that the comments that you made indicate you don't even understand what the issue is.
We need to take a vote as to whether to move the question or not.
Mr. Moderator, a point of order. Do you understand what the issue is at this point?
Yes, sir, I do.
Then tell us. Why don't you tell us what the issue is that Mr. Burgandy presented and Ms. Powers presented?
The question here is to whether or not to move the question. And the motion has been made to move the question. I need by a show of hands. I would like the counters to count. A yes vote would say yes, we will move the question. A no vote will say we will not move the question. We will not bring it to a vote and end the debate if it passes. It will end debate if we pass it. Is this clear? It's clear as met. The question is, the question is whether we should end debate on Amendment 3.
What is Amendment 3?
The amendment, no. We are only voting on whether we will stop debate on that. That is what we are voting for. A yes vote will mean we will stop debate. A no vote will mean we will not stop debate. Counters to your sections, please. A yes vote. Raise your hand if you agree to move the question
Mr. Moderator,
and stop debate.
Mr. Moderator, point of order. Mr. Moderator, point of order. For a long time, this particular discussion has been totally on.
We have a point of order.
Yes, you do have a point of order. But I appreciate if you first recognize me. Robert Payne, 24 Little Harbor Road. Will you say yes, you recognize me? Do you recognize the speaker?
We will not have a point of order while we are doing a vote. A yes vote.
You were not voting at
no
that time. You have failed entirely through the last 15 minutes of this whole session to recognize speakers. You have let anybody who walked up to this microphone say what they wanted to say. No recognition. Names were not given in most cases, and they were not recognized by the moderator. Therefore, their comments are not even acceptable within the meeting, as are mine, because you did not even recognize me. Now, this is totally out of control. And you want to get something done in 15 minutes. Somebody wants to get it done in 15 minutes, and it's not going to be the right thing when it's done. Whichever way it goes, it won't be the right thing. Okay?
having a good day? Are you having a good day?
We didn't even hear anything from over there. It was the first time I heard anything from over there.
I just came up to say hi.
So this one goes past. Go to the auditorium first.
It turned color. I forgot why I'm here.
I'll just clarify that.
Nice place. Do I know him?
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm going bottom to top. 797.
I think it's okay. That's why I kept asking you.
Number 2.
They know that they cannot carry. Change the order to change the order of change the order.
2/3 to stop the debate. I can call to stop
Well,
the
I'll
debate.
tell
And they
you.
have the right to discuss
It's an
that.
embarrassment to be a Tiverton resident today.
Unfortunately, this is
Mr. Moderator, point of order.
It does.
We ended the A count a while ago. Are we on the nays yet?
Say again, please.
Where are we in this count?
With all this yelling in here, I can't hear what you said.
Where are we in this count? It seems to be taking longer than what necessary.
We are waiting for the auditorium's vote to come in.
So it takes longer to count the auditorium than it does to take
The
900 people here?
auditorium needs to vote aye or nay, and vote aye, and they haven't gotten back to us with that. Quiet, please. The auditorium people, please vote aye if you want to stop debate.
I can't deliberately lengthening this meeting. This is ridiculous.
You are out of order,
Yes, I
Can I make a point of order, please?
You're out of order.
All I want to do is make a point of order.
Ma'am,
I want to make a
I'm
point of
trying to
order
give
here.
instructions, and if you keep coming up to the microphone, the
This is
individual
my
in the
first time
auditorium,
up here.
the auditorium needs to vote on whether we're going to stop debate on the motion. Now,
Both sides, I'm embarrassed.
Next Saturday, why don't you stay in bed?
if everyone keeps talking over me and on the microphones, the auditorium cannot hear what is happening.
This is a mistake. They should have done away with the financial town meeting 2 decades ago. No.
The auditorium needs to vote as to whether we're going to stop debate.
Mr.
on-
Moderator, I'd like to know if the committee is, if we're intentionally stonewalling to so that we'll have to come back
You
next
are
week,
out of order,
and
ma'am.
attendance will be significantly reduced by the citizens.
Another outburst, and you will
I'd
have.
like to make another point. I'd like to ask the voters to impeach you, to get you out of office, because you know what, Bobby? If we can impeach the president, we can impeach you.
How's the auditorium doing? How's the auditorium doing?
Mr. Moderator, while we're waiting for the decision, I could sing and dance if you'd like. I've been here like 20
You're out
minutes.
of order, sir.
But I think I was just going to make a couple of comments before 1 o'clock
You
comes.
are out of order, sir.
Pardon me?
You please, out of order.
I'm out of order?
Yes.
Thank you.
Please have a seat.
My name is Frank Rodricks, 21 DeCosta Drive, and I just want you all to know how ashamed I am because this has been a travesty. This is, there's no right and there's no wrong.
Have a seat.
And I must make a specific comment. I don't know that gentleman there, but hearts and flowers when somebody's speaking, that's inappropriate.
All right. The nay votes. Please raise your hands. This vote is the nay vote to not stop debate. If
Can you please clarify what we are voting on?
Yelling over here. The nay votes.
Could you give us, Mr. Moderator, could you
The
clarify
nay
what this vote
votes.
is?
The nay votes. The nay votes on this, on whether or not to stop debate on this issue. Please raise your hand. The nays will mean you will not stop debate.
So raise your hand if you do not want to stop the debate.
So, Mr. Karen, you did want to stonewall this, didn't you, Mr. Karen?
Two-thirds vote, right? You don't know that. They had no idea. Two-thirds vote is votes. They take votes. Right. And then they just stop. And this was cutting out.
If you're in the middle of a motion, you're not going to stop anything because you got a second voting on a motion.
No, you don't, Bill.
Yeah, you do, Jeff.
1 o'clock the charter.
Yes, you do, and you're going to lose. We'll beat you on next Saturday.
Hey, Jeff, that's fine.
Jeff, we'll take you next Saturday.
That's
okay?
fine.
Bring it on.
That's fine.
Don't jump in front of this mud.
It's tough when you have some people who want to play fair, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
I have a question. Can I ask a question about something? About the time. Since we started at Patrick Latico, 97 Preservation Way, since we had a 15-minute start time delay, does that mean we can go until 1:15?
Mr. Moderator, may I ask a question while we're waiting for the vote of the solicitor? May I ask a question while we're waiting for the vote of the solicitor?
We're still waiting for votes to come in.
It's simply a question. In the interest of time, I think it makes sense to ask the question. So, Mr. Solicitor, on page 224, at least in the 10th edition that I have of Robert's Rules.
Excuse me, Mr. Burke, but you're out of order. I have a vote to announce.
It fails because it doesn't get the two-thirds.
Okay, so it does.
So vote keeps going. So we're going to be meeting next Saturday.
Ladies and gentlemen, the motion to cut off debate failed because we did not have a two-thirds. There were 598 yay, 335 nay. The motion failed because it was not two-thirds. There were 622 voted.
Point of order.
Point of order.
On page 4, sorry, may I go? Page 4 of Robert Rules of Order says the actions of any deliberative body are also subject to the applicable procedural rules prescribed by local, state, or national law and will be null or void if in violation of such law. I heard earlier that the town charter says all we need is a majority. That's the rule of law, not this. Local law takes precedence.
The charter says Robert's Rules.
Point of order. After your rule. Have you ruled on that yet? I don't want to step out of turn.
End of business.
It is 1 o'clock.
Okay,
And
Mr.
that-
Moderator, then I ask
This
to be heard.
meeting is adjourned until next
Mr.
Saturday.
Moderator, I ask to be heard. Mr. Moderator.
You should be smiling, Mr. Karen.
Please, all those who came today, make sure you show up next week. It's
All
highly
microphones
important
shut
that
off,
everybody
please.
shows back up and gets rid of this ridiculousness.
Could have gone a lot better. But people that came out here to try and make me look like a fool. And they did well. And they did well. They did.